Hey there viewers, welcome back to Ray of All Trades. Today we are working on a John Deere la130. Get the pan in place. Just a little 1/8 of a turn. There's an O-ring holding that on. We'll let that drain, clean these up. Wait for it to finish draining, clean up the fitting, make sure that oil ring is in good shape. That's what seals against this cap. Cap back on, and a slight turn to lock it in. Let's get rid of the oil. Alright, so put either a rag or newspaper or something to catch any kind of remaining oil. A small oil filter wrench. Take some fresh oil and coat the oil ring gasket. Makes it easier to come off next time. As long as this surface is nice and clean, go ahead and put this on. We're going to date this oil filter and put the hours on it. This one I can reach after the fact. I'm just going to go ahead and put that on now, and we'll mark it here in just a second. Hand tight, get it good and clean. I'm going to put another rag. We're going to change out the fuel filter while we're here. Clamp off my fuel lines. Soft-sided clamps, just to try to capture as much of that gasoline as I can. Back my clamps up. So the new fuel filter, still good? New fuel filter is directional. It's got an arrow on it. That's from the tank up to the carburetor. Fuel flows that direction. If you put it on reverse, it'll clog up really quickly and you won't get any fuel at all. So make sure it always goes on the right direction. Just hold the filter with one hand and twist the hose with the other hand while you're pulling away. You may lose a little bit of gasoline when you're doing that. Put one of them on to make sure my direction's proper. And I've got a bucket nearby to catch this filter. There you go. Push that hose all the way up on the filter. Slide my clamps back up. And because we just introduced air into the system, it may stumble when it first starts up, but it won't take too long to smooth out. And there's our fuel filter. All right, before changing out the air filter, if you have compressed air, you're going to want to clean up everything around the air box. Block off. Let's pull that out. I'm going to block off the carburetor. And that filter here, that filter's pretty dirty. So that'll definitely help with our miles per gallon, huh? So we just take a little bit of oil, put it on our pre-filter. Doesn't take much. Put it on the pre-filter. Smear it around. That helps with capturing any kind of dust. Gets put face down like that. New filter goes in here, and then this is your air gasket. Make sure that this is wrapped up in the appropriate place. Go ahead and get oil in this thing. So this one takes 48 ounces. The first container is 32. So 48 minus 32 leaves 16. So I want 16 ounces, or basically half of the next quart. So I'm going to bring it down to there. So you always want to read the plugs whenever you take them out. 5/8 plugs. Actually, that one was loose. It's like Briggs & Stratton plugs, running a little bit on the lean side. That white indicator, you're looking for like a brownish indicator. All in all, not bad plugs though. Let's just check the gap real fast. See what the old ones were. So running right about 27. Let's get the new plugs put in. That's definitely a much bigger gap. So let's close that gap up to about 27. 30 is usually about right, but on my gapper, reading the very center, is right about 27 for most of them, which right on the very edge would be 30. Again, what most of them are supposed to read. It's still a little bit open. There we go. I like that better. Too much of a gap, and when it gets into tall grass it may stumble because it has to push against a larger air gap. So it will run, don't get me wrong, people will tell you it'll run and they'll prove it'll run. But if you want it to run right, you gap at the appropriate measurement that the engineers decided. All I'm doing is compressing that gasket for the spark plug, and listen for that good solid click when you put that plug back on, the plug wire back on. And that one wasn't gapped properly, so that one's all the way down at least a couple thousandths lower than it should be. You can tell it was still running, it was still cutting, it was doing everything it's supposed to do, but having the right gap, it's going to run better. Just a little bit. Yep, I'm happy with that. You can't get your hands in there to put the plugs in. You can always put a piece of fuel line on the end of here and use that as your handle. Just thread it in, tighten it up with the socket, and you can just pull the fuel line off of it and then tighten it up with the socket. Like I said, this one is 5/8. All I'm feeling for is that gasket to compress on the spark plug. There you go. Listen for that solid click. And then it is 6:22, 133 hours. We're going to grease this thing up while we're here. So I'm going to clean those grease zerks and let's check that oil. Right at the full mark. Glasses, safety glasses are a must. Definitely grease the front. see grease come out. There we go. Front wheels have grease fittings. On that side, one for this spindle. That's the John Deere la130 tune-up. Air pressured 12 pounds, sharpen up the blades, full tune-up, and she's ready to go for another season. So thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I hope you got something out of it. If you liked the video, a thumbs up and a subscribe helps the channel tremendously. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.